Coding Made Easy.
So what's up everybody, this is Peter aka CodingMadeEasy, and in this video we're going to be discussing why it's so hard to start your own game studio and why is it so hard to, like take that first step. And last year I made a video saying that I did not want to make a game development studio anymore, and a lot of people didn't really understand what I was trying to get at, and I made another video saying please allow me to elaborate, that allowed me to really explain in depth why I believed didn't really make sense financially and time wise and blah blah to make a game development company. And but even after that video, a lot of you guys still want to, and I encourage you, follow your dreams. If you're not doing something you love, right, like it's not worth it, like pursue your dreams. But I was discussing with my friend like the other day why it's so hard to get started, like that first push, and we were talking about this game he was designing. It was a really cool concept, and hopefully he'll get to finish it. He's had multiple ideas for really good games. He has really good ideas, and we discussed in this game he started with some artists, but the artists fell off, and because they stopped working together, the game is just there. And so I was asking him why he wasn't working on it, and he was stating that without art, it just feels like he's just programming, but there's nothing to show for it, you know? And without the art, like there is no game, right? Without a programmer there's no game, without the art there's no game, right? And so in order for you to actually get that initial push, or for you to get that first game out there, you need to put money into it. Now the biggest problem is that when is a peak time for us to make games? A peak time is if we're in, say, school, high school or something, or if we're in college or university, right? That's the peak time. Once you're done university, you have to work, right? You have to, well, you don't have to unless you're, like, if you're not, but if you're not living at home, if you want to continue your life, if you want to get married, if you want to do something like that, you have to work, right? You have to have some sort of income to be able to provide for yourself and your future family if you decide to have a future family, right? And you have different commitments after you're done school. And so when you're in school, that's a big problem. You don't have money. And when you're done school and you start your career, you do have money, but you don't have time, right? And it's it's very tough. And so I was thinking about exactly what I was doing and what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to go into details, but I'm working on my own personal tool that I eventually would like to sell, right? And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm learning as I'm going. I'm challenging myself, trying to learn new concepts, trying to learn things here and there. And I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm getting along fine on my tool, but my friend over here is not having fun, like having a good time making his game. And what's the difference? The difference is because I don't rely on anybody, right? Because I'm developing a tool, right? I don't really need much art assets. Art assets are the last thing I need, right? And in game development is one of the first things you need. And the tools, if I'm making a graphical user interface, I just gotta put the functionality there, and then if I want, I can get like fancy buttons if I want, fancy icons, blah blah blah, and I can do after the product is finished. And that made the biggest difference for me when it comes to game development and say tools or web development. See, the hardest part is when you're building a game is to get people dedicated in order to want to, to stick with you, because games are not made overnight. It could take easily a year, 2 years to develop even a 2D game, like a really good game, right? And so what in order to actually get started with a team of people, you actually have to persuade people to to love your vision and to follow your vision and to trust you that you know what you're doing, because you have no product to show them, right? In order to have a product to show them, you need to have art. And so you need to find an artist who's willing to stick with you until that stage, until you have a working product that you can show to other people. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that we have to surpass. And other people, some of you might say, okay, well, if that is the biggest problem, why not just rip sprites off the internet, build a working prototype, and then show it to certain people and show them what you can do? That is an option. I've tried doing that in the past, but usually when people see that, like for example, if you rip sprites, say from RPG Maker, or you rip sprites from other games, or something like that, usually it doesn't mesh well with the game you're trying to design. Like for example, say I'm trying to make a futuristic RTS, 2D futuristic RTS. I might be able to find two sprites that really mesh with what I'm doing, but the rest of the sprites might not be cohesive. So your game just doesn't look like it blends well. And although you try to show people, like you try to show artists or try to show other people your concept to show your ability to make a game, a lot of the times they'll look at that and they'll be like, your game is ugly, and they won't understand that you're trying to show them the functionality of the game, how it functions and not how it looks right now. And it's hard to really get people to see what you see. Like you see the end product in your mind, but it's about getting other people to see the end product and believe in it, right? And that's another thing, because a lot of whenever we develop our own applications, right, we think our application is the best. We think our game idea is the best game idea, but other people might not believe it is the best idea, or it might not be the idea that they've been thinking about for the longest time. For example, majority of you guys love game development and you guys want to develop games, but my idea of the perfect game is definitely not the same idea as what you think a perfect game is. So if I'm developing code for what I think a perfect game is, but you're not fully in it because it's not the game you want to make, then there's a conflict, right? There's a huge conflict. And addressing what I said in the please allow me to elaborate video, if everybody on the team is not equally as dedicated, then you're gonna have one person doing all the work, another person not doing that much of the work, and then there's conflicts that arise and things don't get done. So that is the biggest thing that I realized, that whenever you're doing game development, you require other people. You have to rely on other people unless you are both a programmer and artist. And even if you're both a programmer and artist, it's very time consuming, to do a lot of art assets for a game and blah blah blah. So what we see a lot of people doing is that we see a lot of people flood like doing mobile apps or very quick apps to try to make a quick buck, because they want to get the money in order to put into the real game that they actually want to design. And so that's why we get on the app stores and stuff like that. We get a lot of games that are very easily done or very half done, or that they're really not that great, because it's just everybody's trying to flood the market, trying to do something they eventually want to do something big, but they just want to make a quick buck first so that they can put the money into it. And it's just like an ongoing like spiral, and it's just really hard to break through. And that's just one thing I noticed. And like just me working on my tools or even working on web development or something, I just love that feeling of not having to rely on anybody. I can work at my own pace. I can, if I want to work till 3 a.m., I can work till 3 a.m. I don't have to rely on an artist. I don't have to rely on another programmer. I can do it all by myself. And that is the great thing about tools. That is another great thing about web development and blah blah blah. And although game development is fairly fun, it's fairly fun. Like I love designing games and making games. It's just that realization that when you're making that game, you need to rely on other people, and if you don't have that one person that you can rely on and that is dedicated and sees your vision, then most of the times it falls through. It doesn't have to, but it's really hard to stay motivated when you have nothing visually to see the product of your work. But that is it for this video. Just sort of speaking my mind and sort of talking to you about what I've been thinking about, what I've been sitting on. So please comment below, tell me what you think. Yeah, I'd love to have a discussion with you guys in the comment section. So thanks again. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and bye for now.